The silent threat. The galaxy had lived in peace for hundreds of years. Planets coexisted, species traded and interacted, and everything seemed to run smoothly. The human race, small and distant in the grand scheme of the universe, had settled in their corner of space and focused on their own survival. They were a young species in the galaxy, their history filled with wars and struggles. Yet in the larger picture, they had been left alone, largely unnoticed by the more powerful alien empires. But then, everything changed. It started as a whisper in the dark, barely noticeable at first. A single ship, spotted near the edge of human space, carrying a message no one understood. It didn't communicate like other ships. No friendly signals, no messages of trade, nothing. Just an ominous presence, like a shadow passing through the stars. At first, humans thought it was a mistake. Perhaps it was just a rogue ship, lost and desperate. But when a second ship appeared in another part of the galaxy, followed by another, panic began to grow. The ships were not like anything the humans had seen before. Sleek and deadly looking, with sharp angles and weapons that radiated power. They didn't belong to any of the known races. No one recognized the symbols on their hulls, and their technology was far beyond anything humanity had. Soon, these ships began to appear in greater numbers. They didn't speak, didn't communicate in any way that could be understood. They simply appeared, and wherever they went, they left nothing but destruction in their wake. Humanity's first real contact with them was disastrous. A small outpost on the fringe of the human territories was the first to fall. The outpost had been a quiet place, far from the main hubs of human civilization. It was a research station, studying the distant stars, trying to understand the galaxy's many mysteries. The outpost had no military defenses, no need for them. It was peaceful, isolated, and safe. But then, one morning, a fleet arrived. The first wave was swift, almost too quick for the outpost to react. Within moments, the research station was overwhelmed. The ships didn't give warnings, they didn't demand anything. They just attacked. The station was destroyed in an instant, and the surviving crew were left to wonder who or what had attacked them. All their communications were scrambled. No distress signal got out. All that remained was a massive wreckage, floating helplessly in space, a grim warning to anyone who might have been watching. The few survivors, when they were eventually found, spoke of an alien force unlike any they had ever imagined. They were silent, deadly, and relentless. The attackers didn't negotiate, didn't ask questions. They simply destroyed everything in their path. Soon after, similar reports came from other outposts. Entire colonies disappeared without a trace. Ships sent to investigate were never heard from again. A sense of fear began to spread among humanity. No one knew who these attackers were, but one thing was clear: they were not here for peaceful coexistence. The humans, for the first time in decades, began to realize that their isolation had left them vulnerable. They had never prepared for a threat like this. They had no idea how to defend against these mysterious invaders. They had heard stories from distant worlds about ancient, powerful empires that ruled the galaxy, but no one had ever thought those stories were real. It had all seemed so distant, so irrelevant to the humans living on Earth and their colonies. Now, though, those stories no longer seemed so far-fetched. The name of the new empire quickly became known among the few who survived their attacks. They called themselves the Zithar. The Zithar were an ancient race, once rulers of a vast empire that spanned across hundreds of star systems. Their technology was beyond anything humanity had ever seen. Ships that could move faster than light, weapons that could tear apart entire cities with a single strike. They were the predators of the galaxy, and humanity was now their prey. The first battles humans fought against the Zithar were disastrous. Human ships, with their relatively primitive technology, stood no chance against the superior weapons of the Zithar. Every engagement ended in defeat. Every time humanity thought they had found a way to strike back, the Zithar adapted. Their tactics were flawless, their technology unbreakable. The humans couldn't even understand their methods. They weren't just fighting a war. They were fighting an enemy they couldn't comprehend, one that seemed to always be one step ahead. But even as the Zithar Empire expanded, taking over more and more of the galaxy, humanity refused to give up. Earth's leaders called for unity, to combine their resources and create a defense strong enough to push back against the invaders. But even as they began to prepare, the Zithar moved closer to Earth's borders. Time was running out. Humanity had only one choice left: fight back or be wiped out completely. The galaxy had just learned a terrible truth. The true apex predator was not some long-forgotten empire or an alien race of gods. It was humanity, and they would fight with everything they had to prove it. As the dark ships of the Zithar continued to edge closer to Earth, the people of the galaxy were about to learn one undeniable fact: humanity was not weak. They were not afraid. They were ready for war. And the Zithar would soon find out just how dangerous they had made a mistake by underestimating the humans. Humanity's last stand. The first wave of Zithar attacks had crippled human defenses. Entire fleets were lost in seconds, and humanity was on the edge of panic. Yet, even in the darkest hour, the human spirit refused to break. People on Earth, and in colonies scattered across the stars, rallied together. Their response wasn't one of fear or despair. It was one of defiance. They knew the Zithar were powerful, but they didn't know the true strength of humanity. It was a struggle of survival, and Earth's leaders were determined to turn the tide. They called for an emergency summit, bringing together the best military minds and scientists from across the galaxy. The task was clear: build something, anything, that could stop the Zithar's advance. The clock was ticking, and the only choice was to fight back with everything humanity had. The first strategy humans developed was unconventional. They couldn't match the Zithar's firepower, nor could they stand toe-to-toe with their advanced technology. Instead, humans relied on their greatest strength: ingenuity. They began to develop guerrilla tactics, making use of their homeworld's terrain and the dense asteroid fields in space. While the Zithar were more advanced, humanity knew how to use the environment to its advantage. Small, nimble ships began to move in and out of asteroid fields, launching surprise attacks on the Zithar fleets. They couldn't beat the Zithar directly, but they could create chaos, disrupt their supply lines, and force the invaders into mistakes. The first major success came in the form of a human-led ambush. Using modified civilian freighters, a small fleet of ships snuck up on a Zithar supply convoy. The Zithar, confident and unaware of human capabilities, didn't see the attack coming. It was a simple tactic, but it worked. The convoy was destroyed, and the Zithar were forced to retreat and rethink their strategy. This victory gave humanity a glimmer of hope, but it wasn't enough. The Zithar quickly adapted to the surprise attacks, and the small human victories seemed to pale in comparison to the overwhelming might of the alien empire. Humanity's forces were scattered, their technology outdated, and their numbers dwindling. With each passing day, the Zithar drew closer to Earth, and the fear of total annihilation began to settle in. There was no backup, no reinforcements. If Earth fell, humanity's chance of survival would be gone. As the enemy closed in on Earth's orbit, a new leader emerged, a military commander named General Sarah Vance. She was not the highest-ranking officer, nor the most experienced, but she had something that no one else possessed: a burning determination to save humanity. She had seen the destruction the Zithar left in their wake, and she knew that humanity would only survive if they fought with everything they had. General Vance gathered the remaining fleet and put forward a bold plan. It was risky, but it was humanity's last chance. She proposed a full-scale assault on the Zithar's flagship, a massive warship that had been seen in every battle. If they could disable the flagship, it might create enough confusion to turn the tide of the war. The plan was simple but dangerous. A small fleet would infiltrate the flagship's defenses, using decoy ships to distract the main fleet, while the core group of human ships attacked from behind. It was a move the Zithar would never expect. The humans didn't have the resources for a prolonged fight, but they had one advantage. They could think outside the box. The night before the attack, the soldiers, pilots, and crewmen gathered in their ships. There were no speeches, no grand words of motivation, just quiet resolve. They knew that tomorrow could be their last day, but they were ready to fight, to stand up for humanity's survival. As the battle began, the plan went into motion. The Zithar flagship loomed large in space, surrounded by smaller warships and defensive systems. The human fleet, smaller in number but fierce in determination, launched their attack. The decoy ships drew the Zithar's attention, while the main fleet slipped behind their defenses and closed in on the flagship. The battle was fierce, with explosions lighting up the dark expanse of space. The Zithar were caught off guard, and for the first time in months, humanity was starting to gain ground. The flagship's shields were weakening, and General Vance's fleet pushed forward, determined to land the final blow. As they breached the flagship's outer defenses, the human fleet came face to face with the Zithar's elite soldiers. The clash was brutal. Humans fought with all their fury, knowing that their homes, their families, and their future were on the line. It wasn't just a fight for survival. It was a fight for humanity's place in the galaxy. After hours of combat, humanity's forces reached the flagship's core. With one final, coordinated strike, they disabled the ship's power core. The Zithar flagship, the heart of their dominance in this part of the galaxy, exploded in a massive burst of light, sending shockwaves through space. The Zithar fleet, stunned by the loss of their command ship, faltered. The victory was hard-won and costly, but it proved one undeniable truth to the galaxy. Humanity was not to be underestimated. Against all odds, they had struck back, and the first real victory of the war was theirs. The galaxy had learned something important that day. The true apex predator was no longer a distant myth. Humanity had earned its place as a force to be reckoned with. The war was far from over, but now humanity had hope. They had proven that even the most powerful empire could be challenged, and they would fight until the very end. The Zithar had learned that humans were no longer weak, and that mistake would cost them dearly in the battles to come. The turning point. The destruction of the Zithar flagship was a pivotal moment for humanity, but it was just the beginning of a larger, more complex war. While the victory in space gave humans hope, it didn't immediately stop the Zithar from pushing forward. The Zithar Empire, enraged and humiliated by the loss of their flagship, reassembled their fleet and launched another wave of attacks. But now, something was different. Humanity had tasted victory, and that taste fueled their determination. In the days following the flagship's destruction, humanity's military began to regroup and plan their next moves. For the first time, Earth's leaders and commanders saw that they were not hopelessly outmatched. They realized that the Zithar's arrogance had been their greatest mistake. They underestimated humanity. And humans, being a resourceful species, could learn, adapt, and evolve faster than any of the Zithar could anticipate. General Sarah Vance, still reeling from the cost of the previous battle, knew they had to keep up the pressure. The key to success was not in brute force. It was in strategy, in using their enemies' mistakes against them. Humanity could not fight the Zithar in a direct, head-on battle, but they could fight a war of attrition, constantly forcing the Zithar to chase their own tail. They could fight with unpredictability, with chaos. The first steps toward turning the tide were small, but they were enough to send shockwaves through the Zithar ranks. Human pilots, once inexperienced and nervous, had now gained valuable battle experience. They had learned the hard way what worked and what didn't. Their guerrilla tactics, which had initially seemed like desperation, were now becoming a regular feature of the war. Small human fleets would appear out of nowhere, strike quickly, and then vanish before the Zithar could retaliate. It wasn't a conventional approach, but it was a successful one. In one particular battle, a group of human ships used their advanced stealth technology to sneak behind a massive Zithar warship. The Zithar, always focused on the bigger threat, never saw the humans coming. They launched a surprise attack on the vulnerable ship's reactor, causing a chain reaction that destroyed the entire warship. It wasn't a large victory, but it was a critical one. The Zithar were now realizing that they couldn't rely on their overwhelming firepower alone. They had to deal with the constant, unpredictable attacks from humanity. But while these smaller victories were a relief, they were not enough. Humanity needed something bigger, something that would put the Zithar on the defensive for good. The key was understanding the Zithar's greatest weakness, their reliance on a single, powerful command structure. The Zithar might have had superior technology, but their leadership and strategy were rigid and inflexible. They were used to controlling everything with an iron fist, and humanity's ability to throw them off balance was becoming a serious threat. The turning point came when a daring strike deep into Zithar-controlled space uncovered a shocking discovery. A human scouting party, led by Commander Elias Grant, infiltrated a Zithar research facility on a distant planet. What they found was a hidden weapon, something that could change the war forever. The Zithar had been working on a doomsday device, a weapon that could wipe out entire planets with a single strike. If the Zithar activated it, humanity would be gone for good. The discovery was a game-changer. Commander Grant sent word back to General Vance and Earth's leaders, urging them to take immediate action. Humanity could not allow such a weapon to exist. The next mission was clear: infiltrate Zithar-controlled space, disable the doomsday device, and prevent the weapon from being used. The plan was risky, too risky, but there was no other option. A small group of elite human soldiers and engineers volunteered for the mission. They would travel deep into enemy territory, sabotage the device, and escape before the Zithar realized what had happened. As the mission unfolded, the human team moved with stealth, striking quickly and silently. They infiltrated the facility with little resistance, taking down Zithar guards with precision. But the closer they got to the doomsday device, the more the tension built. Every step forward brought them closer to death. The Zithar, though caught off guard, had begun to adapt. The facility's security systems had been activated, and the humans were running out of time. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, they reached the weapon. The device was massive, its core humming with power. The team worked together, using every bit of knowledge they had to sabotage the weapon. But just as they were about to disable it, a Zithar battalion arrived to stop them. The humans fought desperately, knowing that the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. In a desperate final move, Commander Grant made the ultimate sacrifice. He activated the device's self-destruct mechanism, ensuring that the weapon would never be used. The blast tore through the facility, and the Zithar forces were left in disarray. The humans, battered but victorious, barely escaped with their lives. The galaxy had now learned something crucial. Humanity was not only capable of surviving, they were capable of striking back with precision and intelligence. The Zithar had made a grave mistake by underestimating humanity's ability to adapt, and now the invaders were on the defensive. They had no idea what the humans would do next, and that uncertainty was their greatest weakness. The war was far from over, but now the balance of power had shifted. The Zithar had learned that humanity wasn't just fighting to survive, they were fighting to win. And the galaxy was about to learn that no one could stand in the way of a species that refused to back down. The apex predator revealed. The destruction of the Zithar's doomsday weapon had sent shockwaves through their ranks, but humanity knew that winning one battle wasn't enough. The war had dragged on for too long, and their victories, while important, had only slowed the Zithar's advance. They needed a decisive strike, something that would make the Zithar understand that humanity was not just a threat to be avoided, but a force to be reckoned with. General Sarah Vance understood the importance of turning this war into something more than just a series of skirmishes. The Zithar had underestimated humanity's resilience and adaptability. Now it was time for humanity to show them their true power. It wasn't about brute force anymore. It was about pushing beyond what anyone had thought was possible. One of humanity's greatest advantages had always been their ability to learn quickly and adapt to new situations. The more they fought the Zithar, the more they understood their enemies' tactics, technology, and weaknesses. Humanity had begun to turn captured Zithar technology into their own advantage. They studied their enemies' ships, their weapons, their armor, and soon they were able to develop countermeasures that turned the tide in small battles. What had once seemed like a hopeless mismatch was slowly becoming a battle of equals. But humanity's technological advances weren't just limited to military equipment. In the heart of Earth's research labs, a team of brilliant scientists had been working on an even more significant breakthrough, a new form of hybrid technology. They had successfully integrated Zithar technology into human spacecraft, creating ships that combined humanity's adaptability with the raw power of the Zithar's advanced systems. These hybrid ships were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Faster, stronger, and far more lethal than anything the Zithar had ever encountered. The first fleet of these hybrid ships was launched in secret, and their first mission was one of sheer audacity: to infiltrate and attack the Zithar's command center, located deep within enemy territory. The Zithar, still reeling from the loss of their doomsday weapon, had no idea what was coming. Humanity's fleet moved swiftly through the galaxy, undetected, using the stealth capabilities of the hybrid ships. It was a dangerous gamble. If they were discovered, they would be annihilated in minutes. But the humans had no choice. As the fleet approached the Zithar command center, they faced their greatest challenge yet: a heavily defended planet with a fleet of Zithar warships in orbit. For most armies, this would have been an impossible task. But for humanity, it was an opportunity to prove once and for all that they were the true apex predators of the galaxy. The attack began with a coordinated strike. The hybrid fleet launched a series of calculated strikes, targeting weak points in the Zithar defenses. The element of surprise worked in their favor, and the Zithar's forces were thrown into disarray. The humans hit hard and fast, using their new hybrid ships to break through the defenses and disable key parts of the Zithar fleet. It was a stunning success, one that would mark the turning point in the war. As the battle raged on, General Vance's fleet pressed forward toward the heart of the Zithar's command center. The Zithar, overwhelmed by the unexpected ferocity of the humans, struggled to mount an effective counterattack. Their arrogance, which had fueled their sense of invincibility, had been shattered. The humans were not just fighting to survive anymore. They were fighting to prove that they were the true rulers of the galaxy. In a daring move, the hybrid fleet's flagship broke through the Zithar's final line of defense and crashed into the heart of their command center. General Vance led the charge personally, a bold move that sent a clear message to the Zithar. Humanity was not just a species to be feared. They were a species that could stand toe-to-toe with the galaxy's most powerful empires. When the flagship's final missile struck the Zithar's central command hub, it sent a massive shockwave across the battlefield. The Zithar, caught off guard by the human strategic genius, were forced into retreat. For the first time in the war, the Zithar didn't just lose a battle. They lost their grip on power. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as the humans, now armed with their hybrid technology and military might, proved that they were no longer the underdogs. The Zithar, once the unstoppable empire, had been outwitted and outgunned. Humanity had taken the title of the apex predator. As the dust settled on the battlefield, General Vance stood on the bridge of her flagship, surveying the wreckage. The victory was hard-won, but it was undeniable. Humanity had revealed something crucial to the galaxy. They were not just a species fighting for survival. They were a species that could innovate, adapt, and evolve faster than anyone had ever imagined. The Zithar had learned a painful lesson. They had underestimated humanity, and now they would pay the price. The message was clear to the entire galaxy. Humanity was no longer weak. They had proven themselves to be the true apex predators, and no one, not even the mighty Zithar, could challenge them anymore. This was just the beginning. The war was not over, but humanity's victory had shown that they could overcome any challenge. As their fleet returned home, humanity looked toward the future, knowing that they had secured their place at the top of the galaxy. They had survived, they had fought, and now they were ready to face whatever came next. The galaxy responds. Humanity's victory over the Zithar Empire reverberated across the galaxy. The once feared invaders, who had dominated star systems and crushed civilizations under their boot, had been struck down by a species they had long considered insignificant. The Zithar were no longer the apex predators. Now, humanity stood at the top, their status as a dominant force in the galaxy firmly established. But with this newfound power came a shift, a response from other civilizations, some eager to ally with humanity, others more hesitant, and a few with darker intentions. In the wake of the victory, a cautious but growing respect for humanity began to spread throughout the galaxy. Other species, who had once looked down on humans as primitive and weak, now looked at them with a mixture of fear and awe. The humans had done what no one thought possible. They had defeated the Zithar, and they had done so by using their wits, their ingenuity, and their fierce determination. The Zithar's defeat wasn't just a blow to their empire. It was a message that no species, no matter how powerful, was invulnerable. The galaxy was now a far more dangerous place, and humanity had earned its place as a major player in that new. The Galactic Council, a body of representatives from different star systems, convened a special session to address the new reality. Many of the council members were nervous about humanity's rise. They feared that the humans, with their unexpected success and growing military might soon begin to impose their will on the galaxy. Others, however, saw the humans as potential allies and welcomed them into the fold, hoping to forge strong diplomatic and trade relationships. However, not everyone in the galaxy was as welcoming. The victory over the Zithar had shaken the foundations of the established order, and some of the galaxy's most powerful empires felt threatened by humanity's newfound prominence. A coalition of species, led by a militaristic race known as the Tilan, began to quietly plan against humanity. The Tilan had long held sway over much of the galaxy and saw humanity's rise as a direct challenge to their dominance. In the shadows, the Tilan began to gather a coalition of like-minded species, all of whom feared that humanity would eventually turn its attention toward expanding its influence. The Tilan's leaders believed that humanity's victory was not the result of superior military might, but of sheer luck and unpredictability. They considered humans unpredictable, a force that could destabilize the balance of power if not kept in check. The Tilan and their allies began making secret plans to challenge humanity's growing influence. Meanwhile, humanity's leadership, still led by General Sarah Vance, knew that their victory over the Zithar was just the beginning of a larger struggle. Humanity had proved itself in battle, but the real challenge lay in navigating the complex political landscape of the galaxy. Vance knew that if humanity wanted to maintain its position as the dominant force, it would need to be both strategic and diplomatic. The humans had gained the respect of some, but distrust still lingered in the hearts of others. To address the growing tensions, Earth's leaders began to take a more active role in the Galactic Council. They offered alliances and trade agreements with smaller, neutral species, building a network of support. Humanity's reputation as fierce warriors and savvy negotiators began to spread, and soon, more species began to see the potential benefits of allying with Earth. The humans made it clear. They weren't just here to conquer or dominate. They were here to ensure peace, to make sure the galaxy would never again face a threat like the Zithar. But they would not hesitate to defend themselves or their allies if necessary. Yet even as humanity made diplomatic strides, the Tilan and their coalition continued to plot behind the scenes. They knew that the humans' victory had not been a fluke, but they were determined not to let the humans grow too powerful. They saw humanity's unpredictability as a threat they couldn't allow to continue unchecked. The first signs of tension between humanity and the Tilan came when a human colony on the edge of Tilan space was suddenly attacked by unknown forces. The attackers were relentless, using advanced tactics that caught humanity off guard. While the humans fought back bravely, the attack was a stark reminder that the galaxy was far from peaceful. Humanity had earned enemies in its rise to power, and now the Tilan were preparing to take the first strike. But the humans were not afraid. They had proven their resilience time and again, and the attack only served to fuel their determination. General Vance, aware that the Tilan were likely behind the attack, began to prepare for the inevitable conflict. She knew the galaxy would never be the same again, and humanity would have to be ready for anything. As tensions mounted and the threat of war loomed on the horizon, humanity's position as the apex predator was solidified. But so was the realization that being at the top of the food chain was not without its dangers. The galaxy had responded to humanity's rise with a mix of fear, respect, and resistance, and now it was up to humanity to prove that they could not only survive, but thrive in a galaxy that was watching their every move. The stage was set for a new chapter in the war for dominance. Humanity had proven they could fight and win against the most powerful empire the galaxy had ever known. But now, they would have to prove they could navigate the complex political and military challenges that lay ahead. The true battle for control of the galaxy had only just begun. The final battle. The tension in the galaxy had reached a boiling point. Humanity's rise to power had sparked fear and jealousy in many, but it had also united them against a common enemy. The Tilan coalition, still smarting from their loss of influence, had grown bolder in their attempts to weaken humanity's standing. Their covert attacks had increased in number, and whispers of war had begun to spread. General Sarah Vance knew that humanity could not continue to live under constant threat. Earth's position as the galaxy's new apex predator was precarious. If the Tilan and their allies were allowed to grow too powerful, humanity's victory over the Zithar might have been in vain. The time had come for humanity to face the galaxy's growing resistance head-on. In the shadow of looming war, the human fleet began to mobilize. This wasn't just a defensive war, it was a statement. Humanity would make its mark on the galaxy as a force that couldn't be ignored. The strategy was clear: strike first, and strike hard. If the galaxy's other powers wanted to challenge humanity, they would learn that humanity had no intention of being just another footnote in the galaxy's history. General Vance's plan was ambitious. She knew that the Tilan leadership was hiding behind their fleets and their covert operations, but their true strength lay in their hidden base of operations, deep in the heart of their controlled space. If humanity could destroy this stronghold and break the backbone of the Tilan coalition, the rest of their forces would scatter. But this would be no easy task. The Tilan's secret base was surrounded by formidable defenses and protected by some of the best ships in their fleet. To reach it, humanity would need to cross deep into Tilan-controlled space, a highly dangerous and unpredictable region of the galaxy. It was a calculated risk, but humanity had grown accustomed to impossible odds. The operation began with a massive fleet assembled from various human colonies and their newly allied species. They would need to move quickly, navigating treacherous asteroid fields and avoiding detection by Tilan scouts. If they could reach the Tilan stronghold before reinforcements arrived, they could deliver a crippling blow. As the human fleet entered Tilan territory, the first hurdle appeared: a dense asteroid belt that provided perfect cover for both sides. The Tilan were known for their swift strikes and ambushes, but humanity had learned their tactics well over the past months. The human fleet was quick to adapt, splitting into smaller, more maneuverable units that could outwit the Tilan's larger ships. The atmosphere was thick with tension as both fleets navigated through the asteroids, waiting for the first move. Suddenly, without warning, the Tilan struck. A series of well-coordinated missile barrages exploded around the human fleet, taking down several smaller ships. The battle was on. The humans, though surprised by the attack, quickly recovered, firing back with every ounce of their strength. Their new hybrid ships, built using Zithar technology, proved to be a significant advantage. They were faster, more agile, and their weapons were deadly accurate. It was a fight not just for survival, but for supremacy. Despite their technological advantage, the Tilan fleet was powerful and relentless. Every ship was a fortress, and they had no intention of retreating. For hours, the two sides clashed, the sounds of explosions and the screams of damaged ships echoing through the cold vacuum of space. But the humans, led by General Vance, fought with a fierce determination. They knew that this battle could determine the fate of the galaxy. As the battle raged on, the human fleet made its way closer to the Tilan stronghold. But their progress was slowed by the Tilan's counterattacks. General Vance knew that they had to finish this fight quickly. If they delayed too long, the Tilan could reinforce their position, and the operation would fail. With a final push, the human fleet broke through the Tilan's defenses, reaching the stronghold's outer perimeter. The Tilan stronghold, a massive fortress built into a nearby planet, was unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Its surface was covered in layers of shields and fortifications, making it nearly impenetrable. But the humans had prepared for this. They had studied the stronghold's weaknesses, and they were ready to strike at its core. The final assault was a gamble. The human fleet launched a full-scale bombardment, targeting weak points in the stronghold's defenses. It was a brutal attack, but it was necessary. General Vance watched as the explosions erupted on the surface of the stronghold, sending shockwaves through the Tilan base. The Tilan, caught off guard, scrambled to defend their last line of defense, but it was too late. Humanity's strength had broken through. As the final strike hit the heart of the stronghold, the Tilan's defenses collapsed. A massive explosion rocked the stronghold, sending debris scattering into space. The Tilan fleet, already weakened, was forced to retreat in chaos. The human fleet, battered but victorious, had delivered the fatal blow to the Tilan's military power. The galaxy had never seen anything like this before. Humanity, once the underdog, had now proven that they could stand toe-to-toe with the greatest military powers in the universe. They had shattered the Tilan coalition and sent a clear message to all species. Humanity would not be intimidated. The galaxy had witnessed the true power of the human race. The apex predator had risen. With the final battle won, humanity now stood at the pinnacle of galactic power. But General Vance knew that this victory, while monumental, was just the beginning. There were still other threats, other challenges, and the galaxy would continue to test humanity's resolve. But for now, the humans could rest, knowing that they had earned their place as the dominant force in the galaxy. As the human fleet made its way back to Earth, General Vance gazed out at the stars, knowing that humanity's future was now theirs to shape. The war was over, but the journey had only just begun. The galaxy was theirs to explore, to protect, and to lead, and they would do it together, as the true apex predators of the stars. A new era. The war was over. The Tilan coalition had been shattered, their military power broken, and their stronghold turned to rubble. Humanity's place as the galaxy's apex predator was no longer a matter of doubt. They had proven themselves in battle, outwitting and overpowering one of the galaxy's oldest and most powerful empires. But as the dust settled, General Sarah Vance knew that while the war had been won, a new and equally difficult challenge had just begun. The galaxy, though shaken by the humans' rise to power, was still a vast and complex place. There were countless species, each with its own culture, politics, and ambitions. Some had feared humanity's strength and had plotted against them in secret. Others, however, were ready to embrace humanity as an ally. Earth's victory had set off a chain reaction. A new balance of power had been established. And now humanity was a central player in the galaxy's future. But how they navigated this new political landscape would determine whether they could maintain their dominance. Humanity's first task was to secure their newfound position. Earth's leaders called for a grand assembly of the galaxy's remaining powers, a gathering where treaties could be made, alliances forged, and new rules set. For many, it was a time of uncertainty. The other species who had once viewed humanity with disdain or suspicion now had to accept that the humans were no longer the underdogs. They were a force to be reckoned with, and how they interacted with the rest of the galaxy would shape the next chapter of galactic history. The humans, however, were not interested in dominating every aspect of the galaxy. General Vance's vision for the future was one of peace, cooperation, and mutual growth. She understood that with power came responsibility. Humanity would not use its strength to conquer, but to protect, to ensure that the mistakes of the past, where one empire subjugated another, were not repeated. It was a new era for humanity, and they intended to lead the galaxy into a future of cooperation and shared prosperity. But peace was a fragile thing. Not everyone shared this vision. The remnants of the Telan coalition, though weakened, were not entirely gone. Some of their leadership, still nursing their wounds and seeking revenge, began to regroup in the outer reaches of the galaxy, beyond the reach of human influence. These factions, although no longer a military threat on their own, could still stir up trouble, making it clear that peace would not come easily. Humanity would need to remain vigilant. Beyond the Telan, there were other races whose true intentions remained unclear. Some saw humanity's rise as an opportunity to align with a strong new power. Others, still suspicious of the humans' rapid ascension, watched from the shadows, waiting for an opportunity to strike. The galaxy had changed, but the political games were far from over. Humanity had earned its place at the top, but it would need to work hard to keep it. In the months that followed, humanity focused on building a network of alliances, carefully choosing who to trust and who to be wary of. The once isolated human colonies, now united and empowered by their victories, began to trade resources, technology, and knowledge with other species. Humanity's scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to integrate alien technology into their own, pushing the boundaries of what was possible and establishing themselves as a beacon of innovation. They shared their technological advancements with other peaceful species, bringing the promise of prosperity to countless worlds. Meanwhile, the human military, though victorious, knew it was not invulnerable. They remained ready, knowing that there were still factions out there that could pose a threat to the stability of the galaxy. The galaxy had seen humanity's strength in battle, but now it would see their resolve in peace. The true test of humanity's strength would not come in the form of combat, but in their ability to maintain balance, to ensure that their power did not turn into oppression, and to navigate the complexities of galactic politics with grace and wisdom. As General Vance looked toward the future, she knew that humanity's journey was far from over. The war against the Zithar, the rise of the Telan coalition, and the battles fought had brought humanity to a new pinnacle. But that was just the beginning. The galaxy was vast, and humanity had only begun to scratch the surface of what it could achieve. The humans had become the apex predators of the stars, but they had to prove that they were more than just warriors. They had to be leaders, diplomats, innovators, and peacekeepers. The true challenge for humanity lay not in fighting their enemies, but in securing their place as a force for good in the galaxy. The balance of power had shifted, but now it was up to humanity to guide the galaxy into an era of cooperation, to ensure that their legacy would be one of unity rather than division. Humanity's future was no longer uncertain. They had shown the galaxy who they were. They had fought for survival, fought for freedom, and fought for a better future. Now, they had the power to shape that future. The galaxy, once divided by war and conflict, had learned that humanity was not just another species to be conquered. Humanity was the galaxy's true apex predator, and they would defend the peace they had fought so hard to achieve. The new era had begun, and humanity was ready to lead it.